Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Sports Shorts Daily. Ronnie Rants alongside Tommy Krysan here in this TGIF edition of Sports Shorts Daily. Lot to get to since we've been on the air since Wednesday. The two major topics, of course, number one, nationally, what's going on between Jimbo Fisher and Nick Saban? What does this mean for the future of, I guess, SEC and NCAA decorum between coaches? Is this the first WWE episode we're going to see of many, many to come by not just these two, but other coaches? It is wild and crazy. We'll have some reaction. And, oh, by the way, these two have to go hang out on a vacation in Destin next week or something like that. Also, LSU baseball. Who are these guys? What team was that last night over in Vanderbilt that just destroyed the Commodores? And I know this isn't your brother's Commodores from the last, few years, but still, they've got a lot of dudes that are dudes over there on their team and at home. They've got a lot to play for as well, trying to host a regional, and LSU just went in there and waxed the Vanderbilt Commodores. That means, in my opinion, they are 100% into the NCAA tournament, 15 wins in the SEC in this league. They're a lock. They can go and lose in Hoover. They can lose the rest of the weekend. Doesn't matter. They're going to be in the NCAA tournament. But what will it take for the Tigers to host a regional after last night's win? We'll talk about that as well. TK coming to us from Tremonti's Meat and Seafood. Tommy Krysan. Of course, you can check him out. He'll be with us tomorrow on Sports Shorts Daily, 10 to noon. Don't forget Sports Shorts Radio, 10 to noon on Saturday mornings. We'll be on 104.5 ESPN Radio in Baton Rouge, right there at L'Auberge Casino on the casino floor by the sports book. Tommy, first off, the big topic that everyone's talking about all around the country, Jimbo Fisher and Nick Saban. We all thought these two dudes were, I don't want to say best of friends, but we thought there was always a healthy respect for Jimbo Fisher of Nick Saban because he coached with him in LSU and helped put him on the map and led him to becoming a head coach at the next level and all that sort of thing. Not anymore, clearly. There's no friendship if there was one before.
Yeah, they might have deleted each other from the phone, like when you get that person you don't want to deal with them, or you delete them, or you block them maybe, But Ronnie, what a crazy 24 hours. Nick Saban walked back, said he shouldn't have singled anybody out. Deion Sanders is involved. But let me tell you something about Jimbo Fisher and Nick Saban. I realized Fisher had to react, but I think he made it worse, okay? But when he was asked, I watched every minute of that press conference, what about the collective at Texas A&M? He said he knew nothing about it. That's a lie. If he knows nothing about that collective, then he should be fired because, damned if you do, damned if you don't. And then he kept saying, it's a shot at 17-year-old kids and their families. That's not true. Saban was taking a shot at the NCAA. Saban was taking a shot at, the system, in my opinion. Now, Saban said he shouldn't have singled out Jackson State and the kid from Jackson State got involved. So if I got $1 million, why is my mom still in a 3-bedroom house with 5 kids? So it got ugly, okay? So here's what we got to do. We got to figure out what is next or what does this lead to. The NCAA and Mark Emmert totally screwed this up by not getting out in front of NIL. We know that. That's been well documented. There's nobody will disagree with that. Now, Fisher says, well, the government's got to get involved. Well, that's going to take forever for the government to do anything. They move slower than me and you run, okay? So, therefore, this is a mess. It's a mess. And I hope the fact that, Saban's comments, Fisher's comments, Sanders' comments get to some kind of point where there's some rules and everybody's got the same rules and everybody knows them. Now, here's the other thing. Ronnie, the opposite. Jimbo Fisher, we don't pay anybody. We never did that. It's legal to do it. You should be saying we are doing it so you can get future recruits to come. Fisher, I think, totally made an ass out of himself. Okay, I get it. He's got to defend his school, his program, his football team, his coaches. I get all that. But the way he did it, man, he I got something I printed yesterday. 48 games in. Kevin Sumlin, Jimbo Fisher. Sumlin did much better than what Fisher's done. Now, he beat Bama last year. He's got to go to Tuscaloosa October the 8th. Where do you think game day is going to be that weekend, Ronnie?
By the way, Sumlin he beat Alabama too with Johnny Manziel.
Correct.
in Tuscaloosa, so very similar.
Yeah, so, it's a mess. sooner or later the dust is going to settle down and something else is going to grab the top of the headlines. But wow, what a couple of days. Ronnie, I did something yesterday I normally don't do. I watched Paul Feinbaum, okay, because I wanted to see the reaction. And he had some national writers and their perspective. I wanted to take as much of this in as I could. Bottom line, Saban shouldn't have singled out, A&M and Jackson State. But Jimbo Fisher, you messed up, dude.
Yeah, it's kind of like, Saban at this point, he referenced God. Oh, God. Saban at this point, unless you've got the smoking gun, unless you've got the video evidence or some hardcore proof, and quite honestly, that he's operated in the shadows or he made a damn strong offer or whatever. And look, we all know he did. I'm not questioning we all know all coaches do. They have to. But unless you've got something hardcore to proof, or you've got some guy that's willing to go on 60 Minutes and black out his face and talk with a funny voice like a woman and tell all these stories. The former assistant coach at Alabama, former assistant coach at LSU, we've blacked out his face and we disguised his voice for his own safety. Unless we've got that guy that's willing to go on and just spill the beans and just tell it all, then shut your mouth. Because there's you're not going to ruin Nick Saban's reputation. Nobody's going to believe you, Jimbo Fisher. You haven't done enough. You haven't been good enough. This guy's the greatest to do it all time. He gets the benefit of the doubt. That's a fact. Doesn't matter if Alabama or not.
And Fisher crossed the line saying he thinks he's God, saying Saban thinks he's God, and somebody should have slapped him when he was – I mean, Jimbo, you lost it there, buddy. You really, really did. You're right. He's not going to tarnish the legacy. I'm like you, Ronnie. If you got proof, speak up. Ronnie, I go back to some 20 years ago at a hotel right there off College Drive when J.T. Curtis's dad, Mr. Curtis, okay, they were accusing Curtis of cheating when they were winning a bunch of state championships. And he put $10,000 cash on the podium. I was in the room. It was speaking to the board of the LHSAA. He put a stack of hundreds, $10,000 cash, said the first person that can prove we did anything wrong, this is yours. All right, who's first? Nobody said a word. He was doing what you said. He said, okay, you want to say that? Prove it. And if you can prove it, $10,000 would be nice today, but it was really big back then. Wow. So, hey, Jimbo, you better focus on playing football, okay? You went 8-4. You didn't go play in a bowl game because you didn't feel like it. I mean, you got more problems to worry about than whether Nick Saban spoke the truth when you guys paid all the players to come to A&M.
Chance says Saban may have lost favor with Texas high school coaches and not great idea to attack HBCUs. Well, first off, the coach thing I totally disagree with. There's not going to be any fallout with high schools because Jimbo and Nick are going at it. And like I said, I agree with Tommy. What Jimbo said crossed the line a hell of a lot more than anything that Nick said. Nick was just whining. His just comes across as whining, like, man, we don't cheat. Now I guess we're going to have to kind of thing. But, the HBCUs, obviously, that's a topic you just can't have an opinion on. But it is funny that Deion Sanders and Nick Saban do those Aflac commercials together. And I'm sure they get along fine and great. I'm sure Deion got his feathers ruffled. But again, it was still more about Nick whining. I mean, if I'm Deion and if I'm Prime, I'm going, oh, come on, get out of here, coach. I got $1 million player. You got, how many you got? Because listen, we know they're doing the same thing right now. A&M's just doing it a little bit better, a little bit more organized, a little more just out in the open where, Nick Saban operated in the shadows in a more classy manner that people, it's not just obvious.
Let's reset something that some people may not realize. They said it was Jimbo messed this up. He said he was at a fundraiser for Bama football. It's not what it was. It was a World Games meeting with a lot of key business people from all over the state, powerful people. This was the last question of the night. He was sitting on the little panel, and like you said, he if you listen to the whole thing, which I did, he was ripping the NCAA and saying we need to be fair and all this. Then he kind of kept rambling and went down the path with A&M. They bought every player they recruited, which was true. Okay, he spoke the truth, and the truth hurts, and that's why Fisher reacted. They got really, really, really ugly scene, acting like children, if you will. I saw that in a couple of national stories, like put the kid in the corner, put him in timeout. You know, it was one of those things. But Ronnie, wow, you're right. In a couple of weeks, 10 days, they're all in Destin for the SEC spring meetings, and then you got media days in July. I know they've already set the media day schedule. I wonder if I don't think Fisher and Saban are on the same day, and if they are, they got to reschedule that.
Well, in Destin for sure, you're definitely gonna have to have extra security. Make sure one goes down one hall, one goes down the other, or let them go down the hall and yell and scream at each other. It'd be awesome. It'd be awesome. Nick, I want to see you. Listen, here's how you can raise a ton of money for NIL for your school. A Jimbo Fisher, Nick Saban cage match pay-per-view. I mean, just a little 3-minute, just a 1-round 3-minute cage match. You can put the headgear on them. You can put the protective gloves, a big mouthpiece, whatever. Like, just let them go at it. You just don't even have to charge a ton. Just about, $25 a pay-per-view. You would raise all the money those schools could ever spend on NIL.
I got an idea, Ronnie. I got a really good idea. Okay, we need to get the Saban Fisher match right before a Rougarou game at Pete Goolsbee Field. Okay, I think we'd have a crowd.
I think so. I think anybody in the world would want those two to do a fight. That would be awesome. It's a bad look. This is the beginning, I think, of a mess. It's been a mess. It's only getting worse. Somebody has to get a hold of it. And look, I am your typical libertarian political view type guy in the sense that I have, the conservative. I believe in a conservative fiscal government, a fiscal government that's a little bit more conservative, right? And it's thinking and approach. But at the same time, I'm more liberal and, hey, it's your body, it's your life, it's your world, and you do what you want. I don't care. It's not for me to tell you what to do behind closed doors or in your own personal life, or who you date or who you love, or sex, or how you feeling, or which bathroom you use. That's for you to decide. So I've got two different parts of my brain that think in different directions. That said, the government, I think, has to get involved, because there has to be a daddy. There has to be somebody who has the big stick that makes a decision, and everybody has to follow. And it's not the NCAA. So who is it? To me, it has to be the government or some because it's spiraling out of control. It is to the point where there's no one's in charge. The rules are just on paper. They're not being enforced. And these aren't, we know they haven't been college athletes before, but now it is just straight up 1-year contract, free agency, minor leagues. And so if it's going to be that way, Tommy, then let's just forget the college angle. Let's set it up so that these guys are affiliated with schools, but they don't go to school. They're minor league athletes, and we can sign them up to 2-year contracts, 3-year contracts, some sort of contract, so that these coaches know what players they have, and maybe they don't allow them to just jump ship every 6 months to a different school. It's completely out of control, and what's happening, I think, is people are going to lose interest. People are going to lose interest. Donors are going to stop donating to the tune that they've been donating in the past, because there's just no loyalty on each side. It's way too oogie. And this isn't college. This isn't, I graduated in 72 and I love my program and no, it's not that anymore.
I agree with you 100% on all that. Something's got to happen. I'm not smart enough to figure it out, but maybe the Power Five separates as their own governing body who can set some rules, which in turn is linked to the fact that everybody else will have a set of rules to follow as well. But nothing like that happens overnight, Ronnie. It's like the select, non-select thing in the LHSAA. We heard for years how all the private schools were going to split off and have their own association. You know what? Easier said than done. It never happened. And so, the government, getting the government involved might be what has to happen, but that's not going to happen overnight. That's going to take 3, 4, 5 years, because then there'll be an appeal and there'll be lawsuits. I mean, it's a mess. But Ronnie, the key thing you just said in your little monologue there, people are going to lose interest and people are going to stop putting up money for these kids. That's what's going to happen.
Well, we'll continue to watch this. It will be the probably the highest ratings of any football game in the fall will be when Texas A&M and Alabama do battle. And then, we'll see what happens from there. Hopefully there's some sort of emergency litigation, some emergency rulings or something that happened this year to help affect college sports from the transfer portal. To me, more the transfer portal than the NIL, quite frankly. And this is that, again, that libertarian part of me from a standpoint of, I think people can make as much money as they want and can do as much. It's a free society. You want to pay me to promote your business or say this or go on social media and read a sheet and get paid? No doubt. I think everybody in the world should be able to do that. It is the transfer portal that is the issue. You're going to have haves and have-nots. If A&M wants to put together a pot of money and buy every player, so be it. So be it. But the transfer portal issue, if they can't buy every player, because at some point people have to get on the football field. And if they're not playing, they're going to want to leave. Or if they're not playing, they're not going to be happy. If there's not a slot, they're not going to go there. So there's only going to be so many players that they can buy. But the transfer portal rules are too loose. They give everybody a release to be eligible right away. We know it says you can transfer one time, but people are doing it multiple times. So if you actually enforce some basic rules with the transfer portal and don't have too many rules, I think that is something that could help fix quickly in the meantime, just a little bit. And the NIL is the NIL, and I don't think you can say anything about it. When Nick Saban's making $10 million a year, he's a hypocrite to say, well, this football player's playing for me. He can't, they're buying players. Get out of here. You're making $10 million a year off the backs of free labor, get out of here with all that BS. All right, Tommy, who was that last night in Nashville?
Wow.
Right. Who was the baseball team, this LSU baseball team? Who was that last night? They absolutely took to the woodshed Vanderbilt, and Dylan Cruz, he didn't have the best game the other night, against Northwestern State. Forget about it. 6 times to the plate, 6 times he reached base. He went 4 for 4 with 2 walks. The guy might have won the Golden Spikes last night. Maybe.
Ronnie, the gold jerseys, I don't know what it was, but they roughed up the Vanderbilt pitchers who have been doing pretty well. 16 hits. You got to start with that. By the way, Barry, you notice he batted right-handed off a right-hander, okay, because he obviously can't swing left-handed. I called the 3-run bomb by Cruz. A bunch of guys we were watching against. So he's about to hit a 3-run bomb. And then again, Ma'Khel Hilliard. When that curveball's working, he can beat a lot of people, man. It was a good outing, as they say, for Hilliard. But that baseball team, they actually had enthusiasm, energy in the dugout. When Cruz hit that home run, that dugout erupted a little more, kind of like it did in Florida that weekend. But that hasn't always been there. So for whatever the reason, hey, they got it done. Now you get after it tonight, see what can happen. And I agree with you. They are definitely in the postseason. If they lose the next 2 games, then they lose Tuesday in Hoover. They're still going to be there. If they can find a way to win the next 2 games, they might get back in that conversation of hosting. So, hey, play one game at a time. You got to give LSU all the credit in the world. They went into Nashville. Vanderbilt has been playing a lot better than they were a month ago, and they took them behind the shed and whipped them.
I thought there was a chance, Tommy, that the way Vanderbilt had been playing, they took 2 out of 3 from Arkansas. The way LSU had been playing, they looked so terrible against Ole Miss. They didn't have Barry in the lineup. Dugas banged his hand against the wall, all that stuff. I thought there was a chance that they could maybe go to Nashville and get swept. And then if that happened, the pressure was going to be immense on Tuesday's play-in game at the SEC tournament to win, because if you have 7 L's in a row in conference going into that boardroom for selection, I don't trust that you're going to get in. So, it's not 100% at that point. It's about 70. So they took care of business. They took that off the table. They took care of business. Now, as far as hosting a regional is concerned, I think they have to sweep. Now, if they sweep Vanderbilt in Vanderbilt, they're going to host a regional. I really do believe that because the RPI is going to shoot up, and it's so impressive to go there and take on, to sweep in Nashville. Even though this isn't the team the last couple of years, we get that. If you just win the series and you get to 16 wins, can you host a regional with 16 wins? I think at that point, Tommy, you probably got to go win the SEC tournament. I think because look at what's going on around you with Auburn and A&M, Arkansas, Tennessee. Those 4 teams are locks, right? Or going to be probably locks. So that means you'd have to be trying to be the 5th team in the SEC to get in. And will this league have 5 bids? Also, you got to look around the country, see what everybody else is doing. I don't know if this is a 5-host bid league this year, but I think it's a 4. So, LSU go win 17. I think you're going to be printing regional tickets if you get to that. 16. I think at this point, the way the RPI has fallen and different things are happening, you're going to have to make a run, maybe get to the championship, something like that to have a real shot.
I agree with you. So, let's I'll be checking the game out tonight and tomorrow, among all the other things going on in the world of sports. And we'll see what Deion Sanders is supposed to speak today. So,
nice.
It's going to be craziness. And folks can tune in to Sports Shorts Radio tomorrow. We'll have all the latest and all that good stuff. Should be a rather wild weekend.
It is going to be a tremendously wild weekend. Real quick, Raiselman last night. I know offensively that 16 hits, and Doty broke out of the slump. He'd been really not good the last few weeks. 2 big homers, probably made some money last night. Joe Bear in there. Offensively, it was a super, super impressive. Barry back, all that. But Raiselman was unbelievable. And it's incredible to me, Tommy, that he was as good as he was. He still only has 1 pitch. Now, it's a good one. Everybody loves a 96 to 98 mile an hour fastball, but he's got 1 pitch. And if you were teetering on him, the fact that he went 3+ innings against that team on that road, he made it. He locked in himself professional baseball wise. If teams were not sure or they had him at a certain level, he hit that high level threshold last night. No hits allowed in 3+ innings. It was dominant with his control, which has been the only issue in his career.
Well, and he only walked 1 guy in the 3 1/3. Here's the thing, Ryan. I always tell pitchers this, and this fits for Raiselman. If you can command your fastball and you can dot it inside, outside, and elevated, that's really like having 3 pitches because you can command it that much. Okay, so, but no, he shut Vanderbilt down. He said, "Hey, this, now Vanderbilt might have been, waiting for the bus to start so they can get out of there because LSU, the 16 hits and all of that, but." You got to give Hilliard and Raiselman, that's the best outing of the year for the combined staff for a 9-inning game. And it was on the road and obviously a conference game.
No whistle boy last night. Didn't hear the whistle blowing very good.
Thank goodness.
That's good. It was Chris Guillot owned the building last night. All right, Tommy, tell us about Tremonti's.
Hey, the fried catfish with crawfish etouffee, the lunch special today. Big lunch special tomorrow. Barbecue ribs, coleslaw, baked beans. A friend of mine came and got that last Saturday. He said, I will not miss that again. It is so good. And, of course, all the catering they can handle for you. Still got live crawfish, still got boiled crawfish. A couple of more weeks on that. Crabs are coming soon. Call Tremonti's, get your catering order in. Just a couple of people, small office party, big office party, whatever it might be. Tremonti's Meat and Seafood can handle it for you.
All right. He is
and
Tommy
don't forget brrugaroo.com. Get your gear.
Yeah.
One of the workers here at Tremonti's got that link, and he's going to get a shirt. So
nice.
That's cool.
Okay, we appreciate, we saw some posts online. Is it Craig? Was it Craig bought some shirt? I think it was.
Craig's birthday's today. I guess that's why he's not chiming in. He's blowing out candles or something.
But we appreciate everybody that's supporting the Marucci. Going to the Marucci site through brrugaroo.com. Go to brrugaroo.com. We've got a link right to our own portal on in Marucci. It's got the little process that, you got to put in a code and all that kind of stuff to get in there to get access to the good deals. But we've got all kinds of merchandise. I know Tommy's ordered online. I've got multiple friends have ordered online. It takes about 5 days for the time you order it, whether they ship it, print it, ship it, get it to your house. And then, of course, we're going to have lots of stuff at the Rougarou games, even lots of stuff that's not on the website. We're going to have different stuff that's going to be at the Rougarou games this summer at Pete Goolsbee Field. Our first home game is June 7th. We got 24 home games, 9 in June, 15 in July. Go to brrougarou.com. The $100 season ticket family 4-pack, only $1 a ticket. Save up your money for some Rougarou gear. We'll be back with more on Monday for Sports Shorts Daily, but don't forget Sports Shorts Radio tomorrow, presented by LeBears, will be on their casino floor from 10 to noon. Until then, have a good one.